Right. Right. Okay. So there's some exciting developments in the development of this. I could have phrased that better. There's some stuff happening, is what I'm saying. I received, and to be fair, I received this a while ago, but I'm going to make use of it now, today. An update to the sprites of the main character. So that's what we're gonna be working on today. We're gonna be trying to implement those. It has more sprites, which allows me to complete the animations for the states that the animator is checking. So that's mostly what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna be updating animations. Yes, again, we've been doing that for a while. The problem is I'm pretty bad at animation, which means that I'm not bad actually. Like I can do animation. I'm not terrible at animation, but I'm slow. I have really not a lot of practice. I'm not great. I wouldn't even say that I'm good, but it's perfectly serviceable what I can do. The main issue is that it's slow. So it takes me a long while to get it going. And then I get distracted by the coding. That seems to happen to me a lot. But we have more sprites to play with today, so hopefully that will make for an interesting watch. I hope. I mean, if it doesn't, you're gonna be stuck with me anyway, so... Right, so let's start with... Going here. There you go. Okay, I was scared that it wasn't going to show up. Okay, so what we have so far, let's sort of remind ourselves of this. We have this animation that's pretty ugly and bad, but it's serviceable. We have this, where the guy just sort of grabs things. So yeah, it just sort of works like that, right? The animator sort of gets confused when the states change in a way that it doesn't expect. But yeah, that's how this works, right? So yeah, we're gonna be adding some animations to that, some more sprites. So first of all, let me show you what we have acquired here. Let me just go to my downloads folder, take this, right, and then I can just take these folders. I'm gonna have to open using my file manager. You can't see what I'm doing right now. I have to... Do they have the same file names? Because if so, that works great, because I can just replace everything. Yeah, they do. Okay, and there's some extras, right? Right, so then I should be able to just drag this here and replace all, yeah? And then let go process that for a little bit. They're doing construction outside. It's not too loud, but I hope that it's not showing up on the mic, because that would be annoying, and there's very little I could do about that. I'm already running like 7 layers of noise suppression in this, so any more and my computer is going to crumble under the weight. Ideally, I'd have like an audio switchboard, right, that I could play with. But then ideally, I would live in a fucking $27 billion mansion, and neither of those is happening anytime soon. So, right. So this is what I want to check. So, open file, open folder internal. Screen froze. Let's keep doing that. That bothers me a lot. it's working. Ah, okay, it unfroze. Let's hope that it remains unfroze. Right, so let me show you this. Wait, isn't this supposed to be an image here? Oh, yeah, okay, I got it. Mhm. There you go, that's what I want to show. Okay. So these are the new sprites that we have here, the new things that we're gonna have to be working with. Importantly, right, some of these are gonna be the same. So there's the idle, there's the walk animation, the run. There's a difference between walk and run, which I'm gonna have to figure that one out. There's a stop, right, for the break, so that's useful. We have the charge attack and the attack, those are the things that we had before. We have the hold and the walking hold, so they work. Charge throw, throw, charge grab, grab. So we're gonna have to do those. We're gonna have to do a bunch of that stuff, right? So the first one, the most important that I want to get is this break one, right? This stop while the character is running. So let's see if we can get that going right off the bat. Secondly, I want to get a what do you call it? Get the hierarchy of the player working a bit better. As of right now, it's a bit difficult to move things about in the animator, so I'm gonna have to change that. The problem is that by changing that, it means that I'm gonna have to, since they're referenced by name, it means that I'm gonna have to change a bunch of other things in the animator. Honestly, animating is such a huge pain in the ass. I wish I had somebody else to do it for me. So let's see, what we're looking for here is this player, right, with these animations. So first of all, the player's default animation should probably not be that, right? It should probably be this. So then is that the same as changing the default? Yes, okay. Okay, so that works. That's a very easy fix. Secondly, we want to sort of make that break animation, right? Don't we? So our script already accounts for the break, or it tries to anyway. Right, this state exists. This one. So if I do that, then we can check like oh, hold on. Let me check that reference picture again. Do we have a break animation for when the player is holding something? It doesn't seem like we do. Okay, so when the player is holding something, we're just gonna not have the break animations, right? At least for the time being. So for the time being, let's have it so that if the player... yeah, if the player is breaking, only listen when they're not holding. If they are holding, then just use the holding animations, right? So... how do I write the conditions here? Well... yeah, right? I mean... it's gonna have to be like that. Okay. So then, if body animation state is break, but only when current hand animation state does not equal, or rather when it does equal idle. Right, this is the only time we care about that. Except not. Right. No, I don't think that works actually. Because the hands could be in any of these states, right? And I want the break animation to happen whenever the hands are not holding anything. But I fucking hate, yeah. The way that the animations are shaking out on this, it's turning out to be way more complicated than I anticipated. And that means that I'm gonna have to overhaul this whole thing. Fuck. How do I do this? Okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? That's really the question here, isn't it? How do I want to do this? Okay. Thinking. I'm gonna have to think this through a lot better than I have been so far. So okay, let's just check my animations again. Okay, so this is what I have here, right? All these animations. These are the animations that I want the character to have, and there's gonna be more. The problem is that the hands move pretty independently from the main body, right? That's how they should be. So I have the main body in idle, in walk, in run, and in stopping, and the hands should sort of do their own thing while the player is doing that. There are animations where I'm gonna need them to coordinate, and I can't just exactly rely on those two animations being the exact same, can I? With the exact same length in order to coordinate them. Like, there really should be some handler driving that animation before that. So basically you need two types of animations, the ones that need to coordinate the hands and with the body, and the ones that don't, right? And so for the ones that I don't, I can just simply not ask what animation state the body is in and simply animate the hands based on that. But then how do I pass that to the animation tree though? Right? Like, should I have a different animation tree for the player and for the hands? Because it really feels like if I do that, then I'm not going to be able to coordinate them very well if they have like two different animation trees, right? I can't exactly change them and then have them still be associated with each other. So should I have 3 animation trees? That doesn't feel right. So is there a way for the animation tree to play 2 animations at the same time? Right? 2 animations, one that only affects the hands, one that only affects the body. And then I could have the animation tree sort of... Add the 2, right? Surely this is what I'm looking for. This... Hold on. Let me make this smaller. Surely this is the part that I'm looking for, right? This add 2? Does this do what I think it does? Let me read about it. Okay, where's the Godot docs? Godot animation tree add 2. Animation node add 2. Yes, that's what I want. Let's see. What do you say? blends two animations additively. Blends two animations additively. Okay. This might seem like a huge detour to take, but I think it pays to be safe here. So what I am going to do is I am going to test this. So this is what we shall do. You just don't worry about yourself for a second. We're going to create a new 2D scene just to test things, right? And in this 2D scene, we're going to place two sprites like this and like this. It doesn't really matter what the sprites are, right? Then we're gonna create an animation player. We're gonna create a new animation called left hand, right? And then here we're going to do this. Right. Then we have this loop. So we have that animation. That's one animation, right? So then we create another animation. And this is called right hand. And then here we do this. And we rotate this here. And make sure it loops. Right, so these are two separate animations, right? And so what I want to know is, will add toing those two animations make them both play at the same time, given that they don't share any parameters, right? So will this, like if I add an animation tree here, right? And here we give it a new this? No, not that. That's not what I want. And a new this. Right? And then here we would add this add two, and then here we would add two animations. And these two animations will be right, because you have to take those animations from the player, so from you, right? You have left hand animation and you have right hand animation. And then if I take this in and added this, and then connect this to the output, it is only playing one, but if I give it this, right, and it doesn't seem to care that they're playing at different timings. Even though they shouldn't, because they both last 1 second. So like, right, it stopped playing because it's no longer playing. So what I need is a way for them to coordinate each other, right? Isn't there a node that does that? Time seek. Like 2.5. Let's see. Right. Okay, so if I can... Yeah. So if I can go in here and affect the timing of this guy, right, by script, then I should be able to do what I want to. What if they do share a parameter, though? What if, for example, the right hand animation also moves the left hand? Like, what if it places it like here at the start, yeah, and then here at the end? Right, so this one moves it up and to the right, and then this one moves it up and to the left. What will you do? Right, it's adding the two animations, isn't it? So it's moving double as up and only a little bit to the left, and then that is just because there's an overlap where... Like, if this were perfectly coordinated, that wouldn't happen, would it? Alright. Yeah, okay, so it works in exactly the way that I expect. Okay, so long as I have hand animations and body animations, and the hand animations don't touch the body animations, and then I have body animations that don't touch the hand parameters, and then I can have animations that affect both, and those just sort of override everything, then this should be able to work. Okay. Don't say. That was just an experiment. Okay. Oh, this is going to be a huge pain in the ass. So... Ooh, actually, hold on. Does that even work, actually? It's like... Sub 2. Sub 2? Okay, what does sub 2 do? Because this may be what it wants, actually, more than the ad. I mean, the ad will work for certain things. I'm just reading docs. This stream, that's what I'm doing. I'm just reading your docs. Sub 2, dot, animation 3. Please explain. Shit, what was the doc page that I found a little bit ago? Because that would be useful. Animation node add to. Okay, what about animation node sub 2? How does that work? Blends two animations subtractively. Okay, no, that definitely doesn't help me then. Yeah, it's subtract. I thought it was sub as in like subordinate, not as in subtract. Okay, so time seek, time scale, transition, blend 3, blend space 1B, blend space 2B. Blend 3. Oh, that's a sub blend 3. Right. So we don't want that. Transition, time scale, time seek, blend 2, blend 3. Hold on, I'm just realizing that maybe I can do the same trick. Maybe I can do the same trick that I did for sticking the hands to these invisible points. Like, rather than having idle hold and that walk hold animations. Yeah, that's the way it's gonna have to be, isn't it? Oh, but that's a pain in the ass then. Oh, it's all a pain in the ass. Animations are always a pain in the ass, aren't they? There's just no two ways about it. I'm gonna need you to stop complaining about something that isn't real. Your scale has not been set to... It's always 1. Your scale has always been 1. Okay. We're gonna have to change this system a little bit in order to get it to work in a better way. Can I have you stop playing in the editor, please? Thank you. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to change this system a little bit. What's going to need to happen is the hands are going to have a separate parameter, and that parameter determines whether the position they're following is the anchor point or a different anchor point that determines where they are if they are in holding position, right? That way I can animate those points as if the hand... That way I can have one animation that is the player. Let's say I can have an idle animation, and that animation contains the idle animation itself and the idle animation for when the player is holding something, right? Because those 2 points will be animated and will be the hand positions. And then the hands will just determine which of those they are following based on whether they're holding or not holding something. So that's an animation that is added on top, but the actual positions and rotations of the hands are always happening regardless. So that means, in other words, that these are not just anchor points, these are idle anchor points. Idle anchor point, and then the offhand idle anchor point, right? Problem, this breaks the animations. For sure it's gonna. Oh no! You change along with? Oh, that's convenient. I didn't know that's how that worked. Okay. So then, we're gonna need other anchor points, right? We're gonna need a marker 3D. And this is the... We're gonna put it here, just... Main hand... hold anchor point. Anchor point is a bit redundant, right? I could just call it anchor. And now I'm going to proceed to completely ignore that observation. And then the off hand hold anchor point, right? And we're gonna just place these two here so that they're closer to each other. That doesn't really make a difference at all. Right, so now, so now, rather than having an idle and an idle hold animation, I can have a single idle animation that holds the data for both of those. So, I have... Right, before I do that, actually, I should make it so that the hands do work. So let's not focus on that just yet. So now, the hand needs some extra functionality that determines whether it's following that or the other one. So, we need to code that. This should not be difficult. Let me change the to-do list a bit. I haven't updated it properly. Implementing animations. Yeah, let's just leave it as implementing player animations because this is like long enough as it is. Okay. So. The hands need this is a bit of a long script, isn't it? Right, they have idle behavior, grabbing behavior, holding behavior, and throwing behavior. Right, all they're doing is moving to this position with idle lerp string. Here the script manipulates the hand position pretty aggressively, whereas here it's just an idle. With holding, it's the same. With throwing, they're just putting themselves there. Right, so first the script is going to need to be made aware of those other markers. So idle anchor point, and it's going to need a separate one that is the holding anchor point, held anchor point, right? So here you're heading to this idle anchor point. And here you'd be going for that held anchor point. And then I might as well have a different idle lerp strength, right? So just in case that's useful, at export bar holding lerp string. It's gonna be the same right off the bat, but we'll see about changing that. Load. Then just idle lerp strength for the holding behavior is holding lerp strength, right? So then we can hook those variables up properly. So we make sure that on the hand, right? This parameter idle lerp. What do you mean? Well, hold on. Where are you, Aaron? Here. Sorry, what? Oh. Right. For the sake of consistent game mechanics, for the sake of the game, because okay, so here's the thing. This global position is being set for in order for the grab to always have the same range. What I was doing before was setting the global position of the hand to the global position of the anchor point. But that only worked because the anchor point was still, because I hadn't made animations yet. But now that the anchor point is animated, then this global position is going to depend on where in the animation the anchor point happens to be. And for the sake of having consistent game mechanics, I don't necessarily want that, because where the grab begins from determines how far it reaches, right, in every direction. So in order to have that, I'm going to have to need a global position. I'm going to need another anchor point. Fuck, so many anchor points. I'm going to need another anchor point that is the grab origin. And that is just one that is just always in the same place and visible from the player. So, at export variable grab origin point. We're going to call it that. This is a marker 3D so that we can see it in the editor. So we have this. And then you are going to be that, and then I'm going to have to define that, right? Okay, so then the holding lerp strength is going to be the same as the idle lerp strength, just 5. Then everything else is external, so it's going to have to be edited within the player. So that means that in the main hand, we're going to need this idle anchor point to be main hand idle anchor point, held anchor point to be main hand hold anchor point. It's going to bother me that they're just... they're gonna have that one of them is held and the other is hold, so we're gonna call it held. We're gonna call this one, yeah, we're gonna call this one held. There we go, that's better. Okay, so then on the main hand you have that, and you have this, and that should do it. Oh, the grab origin point, right, I have to create that. So then on the player, we'll also have a grab origin point that is going to be just close to where the player happens to be. It has to be inside of the flipper because I want it to flip around when the player faces the other direction. It has to be a node of type marker, so marker 3D, it's going to go right here. This is going to be the grab origin position, because when the player goes for a grab, that's where the origin is going to be. And then it's going to be like about here, so a little bit in front of the player, so the player has a front bias when it comes to grabbing things. So it will grab things that you're facing, unless the one that is on the other side is just a lot closer, right? And then we define that as that here. Next, we need to make it so that the offhand does a similar thing, where it's moving to one place or the other. So these are going to be similar. So this is going to be remember it's 5. Okay, so these are going to be idle, anchor point and lerp strength, and then we're going to need another's that are for held, right? And then we're going to need a boolean that determines whether we're in grabbing or in held. So at export, I want it exported so that I can pick it in the inspector so that I can see the animations, right? So at export variable, held is a float and it's going to be equal false by default. It's going to start as false, right? And then on process, we are going to if not held, actually no, that's if not held, do this, else do basically the same but use the other variables, right? So then what I want is not anchor point, but actually it should be anchor point, lerp strength, and then anchor point. So idle, all that, and here we want held, all that, right? Then we gotta set the value. So the idle anchor point is the offhand idle anchor point. The idle lerp strength is 5 to match the other hand. The held anchor point is the offhand held anchor point. It's 5, and also they shouldn't be a float, they should be a bull. It's said it wrong. There you go. And then third and last, I gotta make it so I gotta update the editor hand positioner so that it updates based on those values, so that I can see stuff in the inspector, so that I can make animations without exploding, right? So let's disable this while I edit it so that I don't start vomiting errors. Then let's begin. If you are in editor, don't do anything if the main hand is null. Right. Main hand, sprite texture. Yeah, that part is fine. Right, so we're gonna need a volume variable here. Add export bar hold. Gonna be volume, right? And then we make it so that if hold, then we're gonna need two variable names. Main anchor, which is a type of marker 3D, and off anchor, which is a type of marker 3D, right? And then if hold, then main anchor equals the main hand idle, no, held anchor point. Oh, that's why it wasn't. Held anchor point, yes. And then the off anchor equals the main, no, not the main hand, the off hand held anchor point. Otherwise, it's gonna be the idle ones. So these two. And this is just idle, like that. Right? Right. And then all I have to do is make sure that it uses whatever main or off anchor it determines. So here it's not all this stuff, because we don't know that it's the main hand anchor point. We just know it's whatever we already decided. So like this. And then for the off anchor is the same. So here and here. And so the idea right now, what we expect to happen is that I'm going to have this off-hand anchor point, right? This is the idle one, and so it's following animation. Actually, why is the animator player happening? Could you please stop? Where? 13? 13. But it's not throwing anymore, that's weird. Okay. Enable. Invalid access to property or key anchor point in line 22. Mean that. Oh, right. Oh, we're not gonna need this. Yeah. Right. Enable. Right, it's working. So, what we're going to have here then is, let's say that I have the idle anchor point is here, and the held anchor point, let's put it like just over here, right? And then same for the main hand. The held anchor point, we're gonna put it here, right? And so the idea is, if I take this and I put it as hold, they move, and if I take it off, they stay, right? So the idea is I can make two animations at the same time, right? For positions and rotations of the hands. And then the thing that determines which of these is going to be played, well, this is only for the editor, but it's going to be a variable within each of those hands that works very similar to this. So then all I have to do is create a hold animation in the hands that turns on this, right? Not this one specifically, because this is for the editor, but the other thing that works like that I put in here, right? In each of the hands. So then I overlay that animation on top of the walk animation, and I have the walk animation happening with the hold, but it's just the same animation. It's just that it's moving these invisible points instead, right? Right. So that means that what I have to do now is, let me move these back to the beginning. Back to the origin. So that means that what I have to do now is take this in this animator player. I have to take these idle hold positions and rotations and paste them on that other marker on the normal idle animation, right? And Godot doesn't really seem to like much when you do that, but we're gonna try to copy and paste them so that I don't have to just write them by hand. So I copy this, right? Then I go to the idle. This is the main idle hand. Yeah, the main hand position. So here we go, and here we add another track, 3D position track of hand, no, main hand held anchor. This one, and we paste those points. Yeah, and they're right there. They're moving right there as they should. And then we do the same for the rotation. And they're not compatible. You think they're not compatible. Why do you think they're not compatible? They're rotation, a rotation to a rotation, aren't they? Actually, hold on. Godot, my guy. What? What do you mean the rotation property? What do you mean they're different? What do you mean they're different? Why would they be different? Can I convert those easily? Why would the position parameter be added as a property track and not as a 3D position track when it is the 3D position property? Why wouldn't they all be the same? Why would the difference even exist? I don't understand. And now they're incompatible because of it. Well, I know that the angle is minus 5.1, so that's fine. I can just copy that number, but it's really weird that that is the way that it works, isn't it? Come to think of it, does this go with Bezier curves? Can I Bezier the fuck out of this one? No? Well, I don't get it then. Oh, it's a quaternion! Go fuck yourself, I can't even copy it then. Well, okay, here's what I'll do then. I'll just forget about that. We'll add a property track for the main hand. Held anchor point. It's going to obviously be the Node 3D's position. And then we idle hold, we take all this. And we paste it here. And it should... Yeah, it works. Okay. And then we have the idle hold Yeah, we need a rotation as well. So we do this, 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 and then for this one, I need to remember that we're 5.1, so this, copy it, middle, paste it. Yeah, that sort of works, and then do the same for the other hand, so property track, of hand held, position, property track, of hand held, rotation, then do the same. Can I copy both of them? I don't think this will work, but let's give it a shot. No, it doesn't. Okay. The animator doesn't like it when you copy more than one parameter. Copy, paste, copy, pasty. Right, and the idea is that the animation now contains both at the same time. So it has the normal idle, and it has the held idle. What it doesn't have is the texture changes, but that's fine because that's the part that shouldn't be there anyway. That's the part, that's one of the parts that is handled by the separate hand animation, right? So then we take this and disable that. And so let's take off that texture because we don't want this and we don't want this, right? These are not supposed to be part of the animation. Right, okay. So now we can get rid of this animation. This animation is useless to us now, so just remove it. It doesn't exist, we don't care. So now we want to do a similar thing for that walk animation, don't we? Yes, yes, yes. That's what we would want. Right. Okay, so what else? Right. We want to do the same, exactly the same process for the walk animation. Also, why did the texture change? Right, for the player, but why did the hand textures just randomly change to that? I don't know, man. I hate the Godot animators. I hate it. There's one thing that Unity has over Godot is this thing here, which, to be fair, isn't necessary. If you're smart, like I am not, you do this in Blender. You know? You can do 2D animations in Blender if you want to rig them like this, right? Or if you're doing sprite animations. If you're doing sprite animations, like where you draw different sprites, I mean, then this is fucking well enough. This is very good. This is good enough for that. Because all you do is just change the different sprites and then figure out the timing of those, right? That's fine. You can do that in this. But that's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing, like, I'm playing with the thing. I want to have the Bezier curves that Blender, that Unity has. But this does have them, but you have to separately set them up beforehand, and then it works completely different than the key points that you do here for some mysterious reason. I don't know. It's really weird, right? But again, that's the thing. I'm the one who's just creating this problem for myself because I really should have done this in Blender if I was going to do it like this. Okay, so focus, man. What we want is to... We want... Right, let's not care about those textures. Those textures are not real, they're not being changed. So these textures, they're not real, they're just a a visual glitch as far as I can tell. So I want to blend this with this, right? And also just you don't exist and you also don't exist. So I want to take these positions and rotations and paste them in the other one. So the same thing that I did for the idle. So new property track for the offhand idle, for the main hand held anchor point, for the position add track for the main hand held anchor point for the rotation, add track for the offhand held anchor point for the position, and add track for the offhand held anchor point for the rotation, right? And then just start copy pasting. So take this, copy, paste here. Take this, copy, paste here. Take this, copy, paste here. And finally, take this, copy, paste here. Right? And then we should see those little markers move. Excellent. So they move according to the animation, which is what I want. So this animation now is useless. Right? There you go. Gone. So now we have two animations that are idle and walk, and then the hands are supposed to know whether they do idle, then the hands, I have idle and I have walk. And then I have idle for the hands and hold for the hands, which are two different things. This idle and this walk contain the positions and rotations for the hands for both instances, and it's on the hands to know which of those they should go to, right? So I need more animation. So actually I should rename this animation actually, because there's two idles. There's idle for the body and idle for the hand, right? And those are different things. So I'm gonna need to rename this. This is body idle, and this is body walk. There's no hand walk, right? But just for the sake of keeping consistency with the names, I'm gonna add the prefix to all of these, right? So body idle, body walk. Then I need hand idle, so we create a new animation that is the hand idle. The hand idle changes just a couple of parameters. It changes the hand texture, the texture of both of those hands. So this one, yes, and makes it for the main hand. This is the texture for the hand idle. For the offhand, much the same thing. So this, yes, like that, right? It also changes the position, so whether they go to the held anchor or the idle anchor, they have to go to the idle anchor. So hold on, actually. Yeah, I coded it wrong. For the offhand, it's easy. For the offhand, I just create this. That's the one, right? That's the offhand. The offhand will do it. For the on-hand, though, I'm gonna have a bit of trouble here because. Oh yeah, because I fucked up and no, not this script, this script. Yeah, I fucked up because I put it in the logic. I put animation logic inside of game logic and I shouldn't have done that. Right, because whether this hand is going that way or this way is not dependent on anything that the animator determines, but rather on what the current state of the hand state machine is. And that's not what I want to happen. Like, ideally, if I'm going to have a component that is handling animations, then it should be handling all the animations and all stuff related to animations, including deciding which animation position it's going to follow, right? If I put some of that logic inside of the hand state machine, of the thing that checks with the hand state machine, then that's it's coupled functionality, right? It's messy, and that's not a problem right now. Like, if I had to deliver something workable tomorrow, I would just leave it like this because it would work, right? Like, I would just, I know that it would work. I would just fucking leave it like this and deliver, right? Get it done. The problem is, I want to develop this further into the future, and it's going to be a pain in the ass if I do it like this. So now I have to go in and untangle this shit. Oh my god. Okay, so how do I do this? The issue at the core is that is these two lines along with these two lines. These two lines determine the position of the hands when the player is in idle behavior and when the player is in holding behavior, right? And so they use different things in order to do that. Really, what these two, let me just shrink this so that we can look at them together. Okay, so really the problem is that these two things are basically the same, just with a different target. And choosing that target is what I want to happen outside of this. So really what I could do is have a function that makes the hand follow target and just have target be indeterminate, or rather be determined by an external variable, right? Then I call that function from within these two and just have it so that the animator, the animation player, is the one that decides on that target for this script. So that way this script is not deciding on hand positions. Those are purely the domain of the animator, right? That's a thing that is logical to me. So we're going to need to create that variable. That variable that is like the determinant for the current target, right? For the current positioning target, for the current anchor target. Okay. But if that's how it's gonna be, wouldn't it be better if that's how it's gonna be? Wouldn't it be better for it to be a very generic thing that just takes an anchor, right? And if that's how it's gonna be anyway, wouldn't it be better if all that we did was just... Wouldn't it be better if all that we did was just... Yeah, that's a better way to do it, yeah. Oh, I feel like my mind exploded. That just brain blast, right? Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. Take this, completely remove the idea of an idle anchor point and a held anchor point. The hand scripts don't need to know the difference between the two. As far as they're concerned, it's just an anchor point. Which yes, I realize it's just undoing what I did before. However, the animator is going to feed it an anchor point, right? That's the difference here. So the animator feeds it an anchor point, just changes this variable, to whichever anchor point it decides the hands should follow. So as far as the hands are concerned, they're doing the same thing the entire time. They're just following an anchor point. So then I have to make this here. And also, since these two codes are, two pieces of code are identical, we might as well just we might as well make sure to consolidate this within an external function. So we can do follow anchor point right? Follow anchor point. And then follow anchor point is a function that is defined by that. So actually here follow anchor point, and that's what that does. And then we can just have this, and this is just lerp string, right? We don't need to separate the ones. Oh, you're gonna need delta. Oh, that's fine, that's fine. Just receive delta. Delta float, and then these just call it with delta. And there you go. Right. So, given that that's the case, given that that's what's going on, if the main hand is going to work this way, then the off hand should work this way too. So, same thing, just we don't need this extra logic. We don't need this or this or this. We just need a lerp strength and an anchor point. And then these values are going to be driven by animator. So the animator is going to feed the correct anchor point as necessary. That way we simplify the scripts and we give more agency to the animator. Decouple. Let's talk in to say it in absolutely fart-smelling programmer terms. We are decoupling the functionality. We are ensuring the... Oh my god, I hate people who talk like that, man. Decoupling the functionality. We're just making things less dependent on each other so that they're easier to work with on their own and separately, right? In the future. It aids scalability, that's what they would say. Which it does. I'm not even saying that that's not true. I just hate the term. Okay. Right. So then, that means that this hand idle is we're going to have to change this because this variable no longer exists. So we change the textures, and then the other thing that we change is we feed the anchor points. So on idle, we're going to feed you of hand anchor point. Yep, like that? Yeah. Also, this is just... Oh god, yeah, but I forgot about that, yeah. You disable. Right, so yeah. So there's a bunch of things that don't exist anymore because of the changes that I made, so that means that I'm gonna have to do this. I mean, I can just rewrite it like this. Main and equals main hand point anchor point main hand point anchor point, yeah, like that. Then off anchor equals all hand point anchor point, like that. And then everything else works the same. A bit of an unnecessary step, but I'm gonna keep it just in case it helps later. And then we go on the animation player, clean all these errors. Animation player, and then the hand idle feeds you this anchor point, right? This. Yep. And then on the main hand, it feeds main hand idle anchor point. This anchor point, right? And then we create another animation. new animation, and this is gonna be the hand hold. Oh, hand holding, how nice, right? The hand hold, and so this is similar. It's where's the hold? This hold. Okay. This texture. Main hand held anchor point. Main hand held anchor point. This anchor point, and then for the other hand, this texture of hand held anchor point, and held anchor point, yes, and this anchor point. Okay, what happened to the hand texture actually? It is there, so for some reason it's not displaying. Okay, bad. Oh, it's probably because this guy is getting in the way. Yeah, there you go. Okay, why has this been rotated actually? That shouldn't happen. Okay, what animation are we body idle, right? It's like that, body walk. Okay, this has been rotated in a weird way. Well, what happened? I probably copied it wrong at some point. It's the offhand held anchor point for the rotation, and it should be 0, 0, and 5.1. 0, 0, and 5.1, and then here is 0, 0, and minus 5.1. Yep, like that. Yeah, there we go, there we go. That makes more sense. So that's the idea, right? So the whole thing is like, this is the body walk animation for when you're holding, and for when you're hand idle, this is the body walk animation. You will notice it's the same animation. The only thing that changed is that it's doing this or this one on top of it, right? So that means that we can mix and match animations. So I only need one walk for the body, and then the hands will adjust depending on whether it's doing one thing or the other, which is amazing. So, but I need to actually make it so that it actually does that, right? Because right now that's just a thing that works in theory. So we're gonna need to do this. Is there a way to full screen this window? Because like for the thing, I can click this button for the code. There doesn't seem to be. Okay, so here's what we're going to do instead. We're gonna need to add all of those animations. So animation, the first, body idle. Animation the second, body walk. Animation the third, hand hold. Animation the fourth, hand idle. We want these to have the same name so that the script works nicer. Hand idle, hand hold, hand hold, body walk, body, right? So then we want a, not a state machine. Is it a blend tree? Transition? It's a transition, isn't it? It wasn't. Oh god, I shouldn't have deleted it because I forgot what it was. God damn it. Okay, right, what was the type of node that I wanted here? It was one shot, add 2, add 3, blend 2, time seek, time scale, transition. Oh, you can't see that. I just realized that the menu does not appear on the strip. That's weird. State machine? No, it was definitely not a state machine. Blend space 2D? No, it wasn't that. Blend space 1D? Also not that. Blend tree? No, that was a sub blend tree. Hold on, is this? No, right? So No, there was one that let me have like many. I really think it was transition. But it clearly wasn't. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google it. Got a animation tree. Got a animation tree. What was that tutorial? I found it on the tutorial. I just completely forgot about that. You can't see what I'm doing because I'm just on Google right now. There's one that let me pick many. It's not a blend 2. It's definitely not a blend 2. It's not an add 3, I don't think. No, it definitely wasn't a blend 2. It was one that was just like, all it did was choose one or two, one of two. Transition. So it was transition. But then what's the? Why am I? What do I have? What am I supposed to put here? Like if I plug this in here. Oh wait, do I have to? It was working before. This shouldn't be empty, right? Like this should let me pick from a number to connect things to it, right? I should not close the page, I just closed it for no reason. You can connect animations to the inputs, and the current state index determines which animation to play. You may specify a crossfade transition time. In the inspector, you may change... Oh, in the inspector. Right. So I select this, and then... There you go. That's it. Yep. Okay. So what we want here is... we want two transitions, right? One that is the body transition. So, body... transition, right? And so what this guy does is it picks from two states, and one of them is idle and the other is walk, right? And so we connect those two here, right? And then we want another transition that is the transition, and same with the other one. This one has two, and they are the hold and they are the idle, right? So these two little things, essentially what they're doing is they're independently picking whether they are outputting the body animation for the idle or the body animation for the walk, and the hand animation for the hold. And so this one decides the animations for the hands, this one decides on the animations for the body, and then the way that they get put together is by having an add 2 here that adds those two animations together with a blend of 1, right? So then when the hands are in hold mode but the body is walking, this guy will play the walking animation, this guy will play the hand hold animation, and then they will both be added together, and that'll be the output, right? So with that in play, and so the idea is that I can create as many body animations as I want to add them here, and that I won't need to create one hand. I won't have to create, like if I create 7 different body animations, I won't have to create another 7 for whether the hands are idle or holding at that point in time, right? They just get mixed. And then if I have animations that do have to coordinate the hands, I can just add them as a separate thing and then mix make another transition that picks between this and those, right? That's the idea. But now I have to make it so that the script actually tells it which of all of these monsters to pick, right? So all of this part works the same way. That part is the same because it doesn't. None of this messes with the animator itself, right? It just changes these two variables that are fully internal to the script. This is the script that I need to change because this is the one that actually touches that. So in order to get that happening, I would have to oh god, what did I do? I would have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to change a bunch of this stuff. So we're gonna need more variables. We don't need just an animation name. We need a hand animation name and a body animation name. Body animation name. So match the current body animation state. If it is idle, then body animation name is idle. Do not worry about the hands. They are going to be done separately now. Same for the walk. If it is walk, make the body animation name walk. Don't worry about the hands, right? Then we do the hands separately. So match current hand animation state. If the current hand animation state is the same as the hand animation state that I have previously determined to be called idle, then hand animation name equals idle. And then the same thing for the hold. So hold, this is hold, right? Yeah, hold, uppercase hold. So then, so body animation name plus hand animation name, and these just add them together. And this is just to print messages to the console so that this guy can tell me what it's doing. Then go to the body transition and request the transition towards the body underscore body animation name. Right, so basically body underscore idle, it'll pick. Oh no, it's just a landing. I don't even need that. So this is, yeah, body transition, that, and then the same for the hand. So here, this is hand animation name, and this is hand the transition. So this one's gonna manipulate this with hold and idle. This one's gonna manipulate this with idle and walk. Those are the names, right? And then the add to just is always working. That should make it so that at least for the... I don't need that. So that at least for the idle and the walk animations, this is always happening, right? This is always... So it'll be able to happen without having to have specific body plus walk and body plus the other. This looks stupid. Alright. What is going on here? whole lot of errors. What's going on? Jesus Christ, okay, what was happening? Condition not is inside tree is true, so it is not inside the tree. And who do you mean exactly that it's not inside the tree? Anchor point? That's the only one it could be, right? Anchor point set to none. Anchor point set to main hand. Anchor point. But you should in every point at every point be having a valid anchor point, because here you have not this one. Because here you have flipper main hand anchor point, main hand held anchor point, and here you have offhand held anchor point. So this is a valid value, and then here idle anchor point, which is a valid value, and offhand anchor point, which is also a valid value. So you should never get to that point where you're trying to check against the value that is not inside the tree. And to begin with, if the value was null, the error would be different, right? So hold on. Is that actually the error that's even happening? Tell me what the anchor point is. Every single time. Yeah, it is a marker 3D. And yet, so many errors. But it is a totally valid marker 3D, isn't it? Now hold on a minute. What? No, hold on, what? Why are you printing a marker 3D that doesn't have a name? For that matter, why is it one with a different ID? I'm gonna tell you what, I'm gonna be right back, because I'm pissing myself. I'm gonna be right back. And then I'm gonna try to fix this issue, which is very puzzling. I'm not sure what's going on. Be right back. Right, let's see if I can fix this piece. So the problem is that I don't even fully understand what's going on right now. There's this anchor point that at some point is becoming a different anchor point, a different marker with a different ID referenced by this variable, right? And the issue is that I don't see any reason it should be, like, apparently the issue is that this anchor point that it became is one that the game thinks, or the engine thinks, is no longer inside the tree. Meaning it's not, it's been destroyed or despawned somehow. And that, as far as I understand, should not be a thing that's possible. Because the only anchor points values, the only values that parameter could take would have to be this anchor point here, this one, or this one. And they are being fed by the animation tree, who references these two animations that hold those two values, this one and that one. So it couldn't be anything other than those two values unless this guy, this animation tree, was somehow in this ad outputting a value that wasn't one of those two, the handhold or the hand idle, or something that for some reason would be transitionary, although that shouldn't even be slightly close to possible. And even if it gave a different value, it shouldn't be something that's off the tree. That just doesn't... Where would it get a marker that's not on the tree, right? Like, if anything, it would be null. And then the error would be different. So what is going on here? Really weird. Really, really weird. Okay, let me try to ask. I'll try to ask Google for this one. But it's a weird issue to even try to ask about. Like, trying to change a node parameter to animation. Give ours. These are posts from 3 years ago, and they're not helping. Wait a second. I think I sort of get the idea of what the issue might be here. I think it's possible that this is being edited as text, and that therefore the text here, because I dragged it into the animator, is relative to this node, but I want it to be relative to that node because that's the node that's going to be receiving it. This one. So in that case, it should be back by one, then into flipper, then into a hand animator. No, that doesn't seem to be the case. Hell, and it knows that it's receiving markers, so it's gotta be taken into account that the fact that it's... What the fuck is going on? I'll try copying the error message. See, the problem is this error message appears usually when somebody tries to use add child to add a node and then do something to it before that node has been added to the tree, right? Which is a very common error, and I've had it happen to me. So all the information that I'm finding has to do with that issue, but that is not what I'm experiencing right now. What seems to be happening is that there's this anchor point that is correctly set to this marker 576129, right? This guy. And then at some point, for some reason, it is being changed to this one, which would apparently not be in the tree, right? In the hierarchy tree of Godot, right? The problem is, number one, who is this guy? Who is he? It's not a null variable. It's just some random marker that seems to not exist. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even have a name. And second, who is changing that parameter to this? Nobody should be able to do that except the animator. And why would the animator be changing it to anything other than this, which is in the tree? I know it is. So what's going on? Fucking hell! What? That doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I simply do not understand. Right? So like it's... Hold on, actually. Yeah, it's already printing a billion errors. And the animator hasn't had a chance to even give the wrong thing. Like he hasn't had a reason to. You see how the hands changed to the correct thing? to the correct texture, so I know that the animations are correctly being applied on top of what they should be. They're just mysteriously not being given the correct marker, even though the marker seems to be correct here. Okay, does the marker stop existing for whatever reason? Like it's being put outside of the tree for something. Right, let's check that. Let's make those markers visible. Right, those 4 gradients. You see, those gradients are, all 4 of them exist and they are being animated correctly. The hands just do not know to follow those markers anymore. But the markers still are there, because otherwise they wouldn't be even appear. Well, for some reason this time they didn't appear up above the hands. Is it gonna be something really dumb? Like this. Like it's trying to read data that is here, that is technically undefined, even though it should, like... No, same error, so that didn't make a difference. It's correctly set for exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 frames. God have mercy on my soul, man. What's going on? I don't know, I don't understand what's going on here. This is flipper of hand, held anchor point. Well, I mean, yeah, actually, I could probably check this as well. Nope, still the image. Okay. Who is marker 4706 092336 and 119 and 770? Who are these markers? Who are you? You are not real. These markers, what even is? Are the numbers consistent across instances? Like this is 5771. Actually, I'm just gonna copy it so that I can check it. Hey, next. I'm currently struggling. 577136, 577136, 24587, 24587. Okay, so these are true names, right? These are names that exist, that are always the same. So then, am I wrong to assume that the default value, which is the main hand idle anchor point, this one, would have that ID somewhere and that I could find it? For example, on the... on this file if I read it on an external program. Can hear that. Yeah, it's not been going well. It's that this error shouldn't be happening. This shouldn't be an error that exists. So like if I go to the player and open it with like the text editor so that I can see the naked references, and I find the one for that idle, actually I'm gonna put it in chat, right? For that idle anchor, would it have that ID number? Main hand idle anchor position. No, those are animations. Okay, animations, sphere shape, gradient, texture. This is the whole data for the animation. This is more data for the animation. Animation data here. Signal connections, animation tree, animation player, hand position, damage area, throw position, default grab position, throw position, off handle. Yeah, main handle idle anchor point. Does it have that ID in here written somewhere? Not really. Actually, I could have just Control left. Yeah, no instance of that number. So that number does not seem to be stored there. Is that number stored? Like in here? No. Because see, the thing that I was wondering is if I could use that number to use these numbers to identify who that mysterious anchor that is being changed into, that is being mysteriously referenced, who the fuck even is it? Like, is it any of these? Actually, yeah, I think I have an idea of how to know what's happening. When the anchor point is set, so when somebody tries to change it, what you're going to do is print someone changed me, and then error. Someone changed me, and that way I'll get a stack trace, and I will know who tried to do that. Oh, error! That's not how you write that. Throw error. Hold on. How do you do that? Printer, that's how you do it. Print. Oh, I don't need this actually. Okay. Printed the error, someone that changed it. Who tried to do that? Idle behavior. Physics process. What? What? So now it's null. Oh, yeah, just... Okay, so somebody's changing this every frame. Right, this error keeps getting printed. Also, this error does not actually give me a stack trace, which is the whole reason I wanted to throw an error in the first place. That just prints something as an error. Okay. cd script error with stack trace, please. Or actually, can I expand that error to get a stack trace from it? No, not really. Not a thing. Okay. Throw error with stack trace. Is this what I want? Okay, I think that works. So then I would have to, yeah, push error. Please tell me those errors have a stack trace. Who is trying to change you every frame? Who? Oh, brilliant! It doesn't go beyond the setter. What about the first instance of it? Doesn't tell me. Oh, I thought, well, good is the stack trace if it's not going to actually trace. Yes, I know how to use a setter to print a message. That's not what I need. I need to know where the change is coming from. Okay, let's try something. So now none of those animations are changing the hands. And this is still happening. Okay. So then, let's just delete this. Let's just delete these anchor points and see what happens. Right? That is not causing an error to show up here. Which means that it's definitely the animator doing that. So let's just what if I do it without the reset track? Same thing, but just without the reset track. So this is the held, so held anchor point. Held anchor point. Then idle. Idle anchor point. Even... No, that starts creating the errors. Only for the main hand, which is the one that I changed. So obviously that's the issue, but I don't know what the issue even is or how to fix it. And I know how to fix it. I know a way to fix it. But it's ugly, and it's not the way that it should work. Right? Because I could just make a boolean and do the thing that I was doing before, that I undid for the sake of cleaner code, right? Where like the hands hold a reference to both of them, and then choose which one to use to follow based on the boolean variable. But the whole point of having this is that I could eventually add a third one without having to modify the code. Like that would be a thing that lived only in the animator. So it's very disappointing that it doesn't seem to work, that you don't seem to be able to change node references through animator. Even though it works in the editor. Pulvis, if you're wondering. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who is this marker? Who? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, man. Game development is suffering. I'd rather be playing Mahjong right now. Fuck, man. I'm trying to like 1,000 different Google queries, and none of them are useful because apparently this is a very specific issue. Okay, I'm gonna try this suggested solution. It's a suggested solution for a completely separate issue, but you know what? It is a thing that sometimes fixes things. I'm just closing it all and opening it back up. And if this fixes it, I am going to... I was gonna say do a backflip, but that would have been... I can't do that. So realistically what I would do would just be hitting my head on the table. This seems to have erred, but in a different way? Become mochi cake. I already am mochi. What do you think? Okay, it erred in a different way. And I don't know if that's better or worse. What's going on? What's happening? Why is this hand not following anything? Why is your default anchor point null? The base has been pulled. Pull it? What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Wait, I think I have a Pulvis, but messed up. Oh, that didn't land at all, man. But I think I have an idea what this may be, and if this is it, then this is really stupid. This is idle, so main hand, idle anchor point. Then for the offhand anchor point. To insert a key. There's a whole offhand idle anchor point. Right. For the handhold, this is main hand held, a track for the handheld, which is the what? No, not that. A track for the offhand, which is the anchor point. Is the offhand held anchor point? No. Main hand held anchor point, because this is the offhand held anchor point. Oh, no, not there. this. Oh, hand held ankle. So this issue is still happening. Hold on. What? That broke in a new way. Oh, that's why. Yeah. I think I have an idea of what their reasoning may be. I think I have an idea of what the reason may be, but it's gonna be really stupid if that's what it is. I'm not sure how to fix it if that's what it is. I think the issue is that these two animations, the body idle and the body walk, do not have, if I disable this, right? Do not have a position for the hand, which is intended, obviously. But since they don't, this no hand position, you add the other hand position, the other marker that it's supposed to follow, and then it doesn't know how to add those two together, because you can't add a node to something that is null, right? And so it just kind of errors in this weird way. But if that's the case, that would imply that the way to fix it would just be by adding those two tracks here and just hoping that they don't overwrite the other one, right? So like, this. And then the other one. This would be a really silly thing to wear. And it doesn't seem like it does. The frustrating part is that it works in the animator, it works here in the preview. And I don't get it. Nope, that discussion didn't help on Reddit. Thank you, Reddit. I sound helpful as always. Okay, but at least I understand what the reset track does. Doesn't help at all. I'm adding this hold transition to this guy. This is being changed by the animator way before any of this happens, though. So that would imply that on load, right? It's just sort of... Hold on a minute. This is not gonna fix it, but this is going to clarify something. like that. Idle plus idle. And it's not then that it changes, it's after. So this is happening regardless of any calls to this. I assume it is only then that this guy is updating, like 7 frames in. This is fucked up. This is fucked up, man. Because then this is playing this and this, right? So how do you handle adding two animations, right? So animation 3 add 2. Animation node add 2. The amount is greater than 1, the animation connected to the in port is blended with the amplified animation connected to the add port. The animation is less than 0, the animation connected to in is blended with the inverted animation. If it is greater than 1. What if it's between 0 and 1? Blends two animations additively based on the amount value, which makes sense. Right? So like if in one animation the value is 3 and in the other animation the value is 4, then the result of putting them both in here is going to make it 7, right, on the output, right? So you can just sort of add animations that way. What if they're not numerical values though? What happens then? Hold on. How does animation blending work for non-numerical values? Prioritizing the value with the highest weight. So values have weights. Where would I change those weights? Because then it's a simple matter of making this value always heavier. But that doesn't seem to be a thing. Where would I change such a thing? Key values hold weight. Key values? Does that make sense? No, there's no weights here. Then is it on the tree? Any of these? No. Non-numeric property animation tracks with no reset track and continuous blending are always null in a blend tree. fixed. Okay, I'm scrolling through GitHub issues now. Animation Mixer is a base class of animation player and animation tree. Implement blending algorithm, which is not needed for retract for compatibility with old animation player blending and a deterministic option. So is that what I want? Deterministic option? Yeah, sure, but where the fuck is it? Is it a property of the animation tree itself? Advanced expression base node. The path to the node. It's not null is the thing. It's receiving an anchor. It's receiving some sort of anchor that isn't null. Fuck it, I'm using function calls. My god. It's so frustrating to not understand why it messed up when really anything seems to point to that it should work. Set anchor point. It receives a new anchor point. Jesus, this put me in a bad mood. Of type marker 3D. And then set anchor point to that. Look at this stupid fucking function that I'm having to write. Look at this goddamn idiotic function. It's setting a value. I'm having to write it because this shit doesn't work. I'm having to write it twice, actually. I swear to God if this doesn't work. This is hand idle, so idle anchor point. Oh, would you look at that? I'm not allowed to do that. What do you mean? You receive a marker 3D, that's what this function receives? It doesn't. Fuck it, then a string. We're gonna reference it as a string. How do I get the value of a node? Go to get node from string. How do you do that? Yeah, that's fine. Sure. And then the other one is the held is the string. Explain. Such a setup. Something wrong then. Oh, you just still know, huh? Go then. I give up. I'm fully giving up on that one, man. I'll just get to it tomorrow or the day after or something. That was terrible, man. That was absolutely awful. What even was the error? I have no idea. But I'm gonna play Dynasty Warriors later. Gonna be right back. Need to get some food. Honestly, I'm also cranky because I haven't had. My stomach is grumbling. It's way too hot out. The code is not coding. The game is not gaming. The animations are not animating. Honestly, I'm just whatever. See you later. See you in a bit.